Test, 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 test.
Test, test, test,
So you choose. Yeah, and you choose. Yeah, and we'll have extra seats there. Press that banner is high enough. Get it all. Say it again.
The light was on, it's live streaming now, so just
Okay. Thank you.
picks up a lot. So you
Good afternoon. Please stand for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early dawn, for so proudly we have, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose sunshine and Christ comes through the perilous fight. For the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red banner waiting there. It grew through the night, and a flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Good afternoon. I am Laura Longacre, Cheshire Academy's Chief Academic Officer. Welcome students, leaders, colleagues, parents, and guests. Welcome to Cheshire Academy's Convocation. This ceremony marks the formal act of calling together our community at the start of our 225th academic year. In 1794, our school was founded as the Episcopal Academy of Connecticut. Our original charter was quite forward-thinking, providing for the education of all genders and the freedom of students to practice the religion of their family's choice. Let us reflect upon those tenets which are most important to our community and how they might shape our actions. First, the Cheshire Academy's mission. Cheshire Academy is an internationally minded college preparatory school that challenges its students to maximize their potential by developing their confidence, character, and critical thinking skills that enable them to thrive as global citizens. Our core values guide us as we aspire to live our mission. Lovingly called the 8 Pillars of Bowdoin, they represent the physical pillars in the front of Bowdoin Hall, our original schoolhouse built by Masons in 1796. The pillars of Bowdoin are respect, responsibility, caring, civility, citizenship, morality, fairness, and trustworthiness. From the mission and pillars of Bowdoin, I have formed 3 guiding questions that will help focus my work this year. My first question is the following: what have I read today? Research states that reading fiction can help us be more open-minded and creative. People who read books live longer, and successful people are readers. Today, I read a chapter in the zoo grafting mystery, the news on the internet, registration forms, and most importantly, I read name tags that indicate that we have more than 25 countries represented in our community. What have you read today? My second guiding question is this: how have I used my technology today? Yes, the use of technology permits us to learn and to experience the world in a manner that is quick, mostly free, and fascinating. However, current research indicates that too much screen time has adverse effects on our health, including brain restructuring, problems with communication, poor cognitive performance, and increased vulnerability to sleep and metabolic disorders. We must be judicious in our use of technology, being mindful of the outcomes that may arise when using technology. I use my iPad to check the weather, personal email, and about 10 Facebook posts this morning. I looked at a few Instagram pictures and Twitter feeds on my phone, and I completed some schoolwork and checked some Academy email on my computer before lunch. How have you used your technology today? The last guiding question is the following: How have I served my community today? Service to others can decrease stress, encourage problem solving, and enhance communication skills. Moreover, service develops empathy and caring, strengthens a community by uniting folks with different perspectives, and increases social awareness. This morning, I greeted new and returning students and parents. I supported our parents through conversations about our wonderful programs. And this evening, I will most likely work on a newsletter project for a local teachers group in which I am a member. How have you served your community today? These are my guiding questions for the 2018-2019 school year. What have I read? How have I used my technology? How have I served my community? I invite all of us to reflect upon these guiding questions on a daily basis. As the year unfolds, we will continue to examine ways of thinking about these ideas. Now, it is my great honor as your Chief Academic Officer to declare that the 225th academic year at Cheshire Academy is officially open. Please welcome to the podium our head of school, Julie Anderson.
Good afternoon. Students, faculty, and staff, friends, and family. It is my honor to share this special day with you as we embark on the 225th opening of school at Cheshire Academy. It is truly my privilege to serve as the head of school and to share this day with all of you, with our special guest, Colonel Paul Ingram, class of 1944, with Mrs. Longacre, Mr. Dykeman, Mrs. Ident, all of my colleagues, and in particular, our senior class president, Lorenzo Rodriguez, and our incredibly talented musicians. Tomorrow is the official first day of the new school year, one which will be rich with celebration of our 225-year history and excitement for the future. Each new beginning is an opportunity. Whether you are a new student who has just joined our community, or a returning student coming back for your second, third, or fourth year, today marks a new beginning. I spend a lot of time during the summer thinking about the start of the new school year, with particular interest in how to address you at this convocation ceremony. Today is filled with promise and opportunity for the new year. It's a day for me to remind you to take advantage of this opportunity before you in this incredibly diverse community, to ask, to listen, and to learn. As young people, you're growing up in a world of contradictions. In this room, we are surrounded by a multitude of perspectives. Individuals from more than 30 countries sit in this room, representing unique cultural traditions, spiritual beliefs, opposing political views, and different sexual preferences. In our community, as Mrs. Longacre reminded us, you will learn about the 8 pillars of Odin: respect, responsibility, caring, civility, citizenship, morality, fairness, and trustworthiness. In our classrooms, you will read novels and have discussions about topics that may make you uncomfortable, topics that you may never have thought about before. You will be encouraged to respectfully share your opinions and thoughtfully listen to those of others. You will not be asked to change your mind or your perspective, but rather you will be prompted to listen, to respond, and to consider. Consider what draws us together and what tries to separate us. We are all part of one world, one planet. At Cheshire Academy, our mission is to teach you the skills necessary to thrive in the global community. We will always have different perspectives. Yet the manner in which we listen and respond to one another is what will make our conversations deep and rich, and what will make us stronger as human beings. I would argue that most of us think the world needs to be a kinder, more compassionate place, and it will start with all of you, with you students, here, right now, today. You have the opportunity to listen. It is not your right to discount another's feelings. You don't get to say, that's not what I meant. Don't be so sensitive. You don't get to say, there's no such thing as bias toward Muslims, because the fact is that in the United States, an Islamophobic environment has led to a 660% increase in Muslim teenagers seeking help for bullying, depression, and substance abuse. If you want to talk about race, if you want to talk about gender, about religion, about sexuality, you have to be willing to listen. If you are not a woman, please don't tell me that the gender pay gap isn't real, given that in the United States there is an 18.1% difference in full-time earnings between men and women. And we are just slightly ahead of the United Kingdom, Germany, and Australia. Keep in mind that marginalized groups are discriminated over and over again each time someone says, it's not about, or that's not what I meant. As a global community, it is our responsibility to hold true to our beliefs, to our faith, to our morals and values, while acknowledging that not everyone shares the same. Let me be clear that hate speech and aggression should never be tolerated, certainly not here, and one day, hopefully not in the greater world. But we do have to learn to coexist. I have encouraged many of you, our returning students, to have a conversation. Ask when you don't understand, but do so with respect and be willing to truly listen and hear someone's answer. We may not share the same race, religion, gender, sexual identity, or ethnicity, but we do share humanity. We share the obligation to be kind and compassionate and to allow one another to live our lives with freedom from persecution. So I charge you to not only ask, but to listen. It is in learning from one another that we will truly thrive as citizens of the global community. Here in the United States, a country founded by individuals seeking refuge from religious persecution, we have a history of contradiction, targeting those whose sexual, racial, ethnic, gender, or religious background is different. In history class, you may have learned about the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which banned segregation on the grounds of race, religion, or national origin. Discrimination by employers based upon gender, national origin, religion, and race was barred under this act. But it wasn't enough. The Civil Rights Act had to be later expanded to include disabled Americans, the elderly, and women in collegiate athletics. Laws were passed to stop discrimination. It was not inherent that all individuals should be treated equally. What motivates hatred? How is it possible that today, in 2018, homosexuality is still a crime in 72 countries? Why, if people of color make up about 30% of the United States population, do they account for 60% of those in prison? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. declared the Civil Rights Act of 1964 nothing less than a second emancipation. Yet racially motivated hate crimes comprise nearly 60% of overall crimes in the United States, and African Americans remain the most targeted group. We are suffocating in a world which consistently divides us into groups according to our differences in lieu of bringing us together by our similarities. I am a mother of 2 daughters. In the unimaginable event that one of my daughters goes missing, will I silently be grateful that they are white? Missing white woman syndrome, incredulously enough, is real. In the United States, Canada, the UK, and South Africa, research shows that the media is more likely to focus on missing white girls than girls of color. A child is missing, and the amount of coverage she receives in the media has a direct correlation to her race. It is up to you young people, to make the change. And change begins with conversation and the art of active listening. Listen to what your classmates, your dorm mates, your teammates, your teachers, your friends will have to say. Ask questions about their traditions, their beliefs, their culture. Strive to learn more and judge less. When you hear someone say, "You aren't welcome here," stop, listen, and say, "Yes, you are. We are all welcome." It is only in the bravery and sincerity in asking, listening, learning, and respecting will we move forward and begin to appreciate the uniqueness of each human being. That can start for you today, here at Cheshire Academy, and this can be our new beginning. Thank you. I'm very pleased to share that we have invited a special guest today in lieu of it being our 225th celebratory year. Over the last 225 years, we have had thousands of exceptional young men and women call Cheshire Academy their home. Our next speaker, Colonel Paul Ingram, a member of the class of 1944, is certainly one that I am incredibly proud and privileged to introduce to you. Some of you may recognize Colonel Ingram. He has been a guest lecturer in many of our senior history classes over the last 25 years. This June, he will return to campus to celebrate the school's 225th anniversary and his 75th reunion. I'm sure he won't mind me sharing that he is 91 years young, was skiing in the European Alps up until about 6 years ago, and is a distinguished and decorated retired U.S. Air Force fighter pilot. Summarizing Colonel Ingram's many personal and professional accomplishments is no easy feat. This is my attempt to highlight a few of the extraordinary ones. He graduated 11th in his class at Cheshire Academy and then attended the U.S. Military Academy at West Point and was commissioned as an officer in the Air Force. As a command pilot with 30 years of active service and over 3,600 hours of flying time, he was stationed in over 11 different countries. In addition to his flying duties, Colonel Ingram held command positions at squadron wing and major command levels. Decorations for valor include the Silver Star, 3 Distinguished Flying Crosses, and 10 Air Medals. He was awarded the Legion of Merit twice, the Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medal, and the Air Force Commendation Medal for personal achievement. I imagine, however, that the Colonel would note that one of his most cherished accomplishments was being loving husband to his late wife, Joan, for more than 65 years. Since retirement, Colonel Ingram has spent time restoring the 1770 colonial home that has been in his family for generations. His volunteer work includes financial management assistance for the elderly, visits to the senior history classes at Cheshire Academy, and serving in various local church and town committees. He holds life memberships in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Order of Devilians, and Military Officers of America. Colonel Ingram has hundreds of wonderful stories from his past 91 years, and I'm so very pleased and honored that he is here today to share one of them.
It was 1994, and the school planned to celebrate 200 years of continuous operation in the Big West. Graduation, alumni reunion, and the bicentennial were to be combined into one big gala event. Since it was the 50th reunion of the class of 94, a major effort was made to have as many return as possible, and we think we made it a pretty decent show. During the course of events, it leaked out that among the doctors, lawyers, and other sort of businessmen, there was a career officer of the United States Air Force, one who had lived through 3 wars, flown jet fighters in 2 of them, and served active duty for the first 30 years of the Cold War. Without mentioning names, someone thought it was a piece of history and something to be put to use. The next thing I knew, I was sitting in a classroom back here at Cheshire with 2 other vets, telling war stories to some of the senior classes. After relating one of my more adrenaline-packed moments of stark terror deep in North Korea, a Korean student asked me a question. She said that in her school, back in Korea, they were taught that the reason to have a relatively free and independent country was thanks to the Americans. Did I agree with that? I think my answer satisfied her, and I gave the incident no more thought. Several years ago, while putting together some remarks explaining why I support Cheshire Academy, that brief encounter came to mind. The more I thought about it, the more improbable it seemed. Here was a Korean teenager who had left home and family, traveled halfway around the world, and landed in a small boarding school in Cheshire, Connecticut. In the same room was an antique fighter pilot who had left home and family 43 years before that, traveled halfway around the world, and landed in a small combat air base outside Daegu, South Korea. Now here they were together for one moment in time. She with a question, he with an answer. How could that happen? Luck? Maybe destiny, or maybe a rewrite of Murphy's Law. We could say if something can happen, it will. Well, I think Cheshire Academy made it happen. Consider, in 1944, the headmaster had prescribed the right courses so that a skinny kid from Farmington, Connecticut passed the entrance exam and completed the rigors of 4 years of the United States Air Force military academy. 2, sometime during the following 50 years, girls were again admitted to the academy, and the school became a Convocation. 3, my class had all of 2 boys from Venezuela. That was it. Over the years, enrollment expanded, and Venezuela land today the student body represents over 25, whatever the count is, labor countries. Most of those 50 years saw little, this is the fourth point, most of those 50 years saw little contact between the school and graduates. That changed leading up to the bicentennial. 25 years later, we have a vibrant alumni program with increasing efforts to improve the bond between the school and its faculty. So I think those things combined in some indeterminate way to bring those two strategies together. Because of that meeting, something important happened. She already knew what politicians, historians, teachers, and perhaps even grandparents said about the war. But what about those who actually fought the war? What did they think? After all, more than 36,000 Americans were killed, and another 103,000 wounded, so that she and her fellow countrymen could live in relative peace and freedom. Freedom at least to choose where to seek an education. Now here she was face to face with somebody who might provide an answer. So there it is. Two people, normally separated by half a world, half a century, brought together, not by accident, by things that happened here at Cheshire over about 50 years span. I guess that's not surprising for things to happen here for 225 years. Continue to happen today, and one may expect to happen in the future. Some big, others not so big, and many seemingly insignificant. But if they help us better understand ourselves, each other, and the world in which we live, then we shall be their beneficiaries. And Cheshire Academy will have made it happen.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed and fall my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are, but I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we're glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand and fly, gonna draw them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. The practice here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets is my skin. We'll find a way, 'cause today I won't let the ship sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. Oh, we're glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand and fly, gonna draw them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, the captain's here I come.
Merci. Now I would like to welcome to the podium Lorenzo Rodriguez. The 2018-2019 senior class president. Lorenzo was born in Caracas. I'm not sure where he is. He was born in Caracas, Venezuela, and following in the footsteps of his brother Gonzalo, class of 2015, entered the academy 2 years ago.
Good afternoon, Ms. Anderson, Mr. Dykeman, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, students, parents, and guests. Acta non verba, acts, not words. This Latin proverb properly captivates the message I'm sharing with you today. Cheshire Academy is not an institution which can be defined by words I or anyone else can say upon this stage. Rather, it is defined by the acts of its constituents, our faculty and staff, as well as the students. Cheshire Academy has been educated graduates who embody its exemplary pillars of Bowdoin for 225 years. When CA first opened its doors, the United States was nearly 18 years young, and my home country, Venezuela, did not even exist. Cheshire Academy's history is a source of pride amongst us. It makes us unique. Our school was here many years before we arrived, and it will be here for many more after we leave. What a special place to make our mark. If Cheshire Academy is one thing, it is diverse. Our students represent 13 states and 29 countries from around the globe. Some may ask, how is it that there is no divide between so many different cultures in one place? That is because we do not judge one another by words which label, words which stereotype us according to our origins. Rather, we identify each other through our actions. Actions that we carry out side by side, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, no matter our nationality, race, religion, or sexual orientation. Our shared values, the 8 pillars of Bowdoin, bring us together as one here at Cheshire Academy. Now, I want to address the newest addition to our family, the incoming students. I have been in your position before. It was 2 years ago, when, as a result of the political instability in Venezuela, my family and I had no choice but to flee the country. I came directly to Cheshire Academy, filled with uncertainty and anxiety. How would I be viewed here? Could I take classes in a different language? Would I even be able to make new friends? These questions kept me up at night. Back then, I could have never imagined I would be here today on this podium addressing you all as the 2019 senior class president on the 225th anniversary of our beloved school, a school which gave me a second home after mine was taken away. Please don't be worried. Take every opportunity. If you're an athlete, take a music class. If you haven't yet, step out of your comfort zone and take a new language, or make an effort to meet someone from a different culture. In my time here, I've made friendships which I'm sure will stay strong for the rest of my days, and I know that most of us in this room can relate. The start of senior year has put things into perspective, and looking back, there is no other group of people who could have made these past 2 years any better. And for that, I am eternally grateful to Cheshire Academy. And finally, remember, acta non verba. My words today are not nearly as important as the actions we decide to take, guided always by our values of responsibility, respect, caring, civility, citizenship, morality, fairness, and trustworthiness. Thank you.